This and Beyond, building business knowledge from the insights.
Decentralized finance is an emerging ecosystem of financial applications and protocol built on blockchain technology with programmable capabilities such as Ethereum and Solana. Because the software is written on blockchain makes it possible for buyers, sellers, lenders, and borrowers to interact peer-to-peer or with a strictly software-based middleman rather than a company or institution facilitating a transaction. Would DeFi slowly shaken the global financial system? How banks adapt to the new development? Let's hear from Mr. Jirayut Sapsi-Sopa, founder and group CEO, BitCups Capital Holding Company Limited. Welcome, Khun Top, to Biz and Beyond, and thank you so much for coming today. First of all, let me congratulations on the BitCups latest unicorn. It's truly remarkable. This episode I'd like to dedicate to talking about the world of cryptocurrency and all digital asset. One of the buzzwords that strike me is decentralized finance because it is quite close to us. So let's take DeFi 101 with you, asking about what is it first and how it operates and why people need to know about this.
Sure. First of all, thank you for inviting me for this talk. To understand DeFi, we have to understand the evolution of money first as a fundamental layer. If we were to look back in history, money changes its form every 50 years. Before the paper-based form as money, we used to use shells, stones, gold as money in the past. And the format changes. And the financial service providers must be able to adapt to different formats of money in different phases of history. I guess the best way to understand this is to look at the music industry. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, before music was in form of tapes or CDs, and then the evolution of music, it became MP3, iPod, and then eventually it became cloud-based. Right? So when music were in a physical form, music providers, they came in branches like blockbusters. They were the music providers because they built a business based on the fundamental belief that music is physical. But once music became digital, right, the fundamental format of it became digital, the music providers must also become digital. Now we have YouTube, Netflix,
Right.
Line TV,
Spotify.
As music providers, the change in format of music. If you look at the financial industry, all the banking or financial institutions build their businesses based on the assumption that money is paper-based. Right? So we have to have cash counting machines, we have to have ATMs, we have to have ammo trucks to move money around.
Right.
We have to have bank branches based on the assumption that money is physical. But if we were to understand the evolution of money, its format changes every 50 years, from shells to Yellowstone, gold standard, to Bretton Woods system,
Right.
To fiat currency. And if we were to look into the future, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, the biggest economy in the world would be the internet economy, internet nation, or the digital economy. And with the arrival of Facebook and its newest vision to become a biggest metaverse player, and they're really serious about this. So serious that they are able to sacrifice its original brand,
Right.
the Facebook equity. It's in one of the top 10 highest brand equity in the world, and they're throwing that in the rubbish bin and changes its name to Meta. So they're really serious about metaverse. And if we understand the trend, right, the biggest economy in the world would be the digital economy. Metaverse is here to stay, and it's definitely the future. How can money be physical? Right? How can you melt paper into this metaverse world?
Right.
It's not feasible.
Possible.
Right? So, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, money would be digital, just like music. Right now we have programmable music. In the future, money would be computer program. Money will be logic of mathematics. And if we understand this, the very fundamental of money changes its form to become digital based, then the financial services providers must change its format to match the new format of money.
Right.
Just like how Blockbuster is no longer here because they were not able to adapt into a cloud-based application. If they were to still stick to bank branches, it's going to be like Blockbusters. That they stick to their branches. It doesn't go with the new format of music or of money. Everything is becoming digital. All the content, all the newspapers are now online.
Right.
All the communication, all the advertisement, everything is becoming digital. And same with money. So that's why if we understand this trend, then financial services provider must be digital. And that's why we have DeFi. If the money itself is computer program, that means we can program money. For the first time in human history, we can lend and we can borrow money without the need of intermediaries. For the first time in human history, we can crowdfund from everyone around the world without the need of an intermediary.
Right.
For the first time in human history, we can exchange currencies from digital baht to digital yuan without the need of any intermediaries.
Right.
Everything would be governed by computer program or code, saying that code is king. And this is pretty much what a DeFi is. DeFi is short for decentralized finance. It's the way we deliver financial services without the need of intermediaries. And everything is run by software. It's run by computer program. It's run by code. And this is becoming feasible because the money itself is becoming a computer program. It wasn't feasible in the past because the format of money was paper-based. So we needed intermediaries to move paper around. We needed intermediaries to make sure that different players do not cheat the system. We need centralized body to punish and to reward good and bad actors because everything was manual in the past. But now if money is becoming a logic of mathematics, nobody can really cheat the system if 1 + 1 = 2. And another thing that makes DeFi becomes feasible is the arrival of blockchain technology. Right? In the last 20 years, we were able to digitize information online, not value. Right? In other words, we had the internet of information. And the reason was because internet or TCP/IP protocol allows us to have digital abundance. For the first time in human history, we can able to have as many digital files as we want without additional inputs. Right? In economics, we say the marginal cost of production is zero.
Right.
When we digitize work files, photo files, voice files, and once I email the work file to someone else's, the good thing about the internet is that it makes sure that the transaction is instant, global, frictionless. The efficiency of transmitting information, that's the positive benefit that we earned from the internet. But the drawback is that once we send that digital file over to another person, we still have the same copy in our local terminal. It communicates via creating more copies. And if you talk about information, it doesn't impact the economy because it's good to maximize communication. It's good to have more digital files. But if we were to talk about values in the first 20 years, we will not be able to upload values online because of this digital abundance property of the internet. Imagine if we digitize a 1,000 baht or a dollar note, and once I email that dollar note to someone else's, I still have the
You
same
still have the copy.
dollar note
Right.
in my local terminal. Then I would send this
To
dollar note to
anyone
anyone I
else,
know,
right.
and I would be able to print unlimited amount of money, and within one day, Thailand would become like Venezuela. Inflation would be a million percent inflation. The economy would collapse right away. Right? So, in the first 20 years, the internet was able to allow humanity to change the way we transact information, but not value. We were able to upload all kinds of information online, whether it be communication, advertisements, or any digital files that acts as a digital representation of information. But with value, we needed intermediaries because it ensures physical scarcity. And things that have values must be limited in numbers.
Right.
If people are able to create unlimited amounts of things with value, it will, decrease in value eventually. So any of the physical things in the past were limited in numbers to ensure physical scarcity ensures values. If you talk about gold, there's limited amount of gold. Right? If you talk about diamonds, there's scarcity aspect. If you talk about deeds, land, anything of value must have limited numbers. With the arrival of blockchain, it solves exactly this issue. It creates digital scarcity for the first time in human history. We were not able to achieve digital scarcity in the past because whatever we uploaded, we could create more copies.
More copies, right.
Until we, enter blockchain. Right? For the first time in human history, we can digitize, or we can call it tokenize, a digital baht note, digital dollar note. And once I email that dollar note to someone else's, the same copy in my local terminal would instantly disappear. Right? So nobody can create more copies. And that digital file can represent value because of its limited property in limited numbers.
Right. And also it's also transparent as well because everybody can see it through the contract, right?
With the blockchain or the validator nodes, blockchain is a decentralized ledger. So everyone around the world would in tandem maintaining the system in tandem at the same time, simultaneously. So all the transactions are online, transparent, and we are able to trace all the transaction back to its original genesis block. And no one single authority can reverse the transaction. No single authority can control the system. No single authority can freeze any transaction because the whole system is governed by all the validator nodes. We call it the miners who are the ones verifying all the transactions. And with the this property of blockchain, it solves the double spend issues for the digital world. It creates digital scarcity. That means in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, we are able to tokenize all kinds of values. We are able to upload all kinds of values online. We will have which is a digital representation of gold. We will have a digital diamonds, digital land, digital deeds, digital intellectual properties, digital money. Right? Everything around us would be tokenized and digitized into the digital world, into the internet nation, into the digital economy, into this metaverse. And with the arrival of blockchain, with the change in the format of money becoming digital, then the way we access financial services would become digital. Right? The way financial services providers would provide services to customers would be digital. And that's why we have DeFi. Since the money is code, it's a computer program, we can lend, we can borrow, we can crowdfund, we can exchange currencies without the need of intermediaries. We can program everything now. Every function on the Wall Street can be replaced by computer program because we can program anything based on our imagination. We will have a lot more financial innovations happening in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. And in the blockchain stack, there are 4 layers. The fundamental layer of blockchain is what we call the state of account. When we transfer a digital currency from one to another, all the transactions are being registered on the blockchain. We call it the state of account. or the value registry. That's the first layer. Then the second layer is what we call the native coin or the native asset. Let's take Ethereum blockchain as an example. Ethereum blockchain is the state of account where it registers all the transaction onto its ledger, the blockchain ledger, the state of account. Then Ethereum blockchain has its native coin called Ether to pay for the gas fee. Once the transactions are piling up on the Ethereum blockchain, Ether acts as an operating system to incentivize all the miners, all the players to play by the rules instead of cheat the system. It is more profitable to play by the rules than to cheat the system because everything is run in an open system. Nobody can control the system. And that's why if it operates in an open system, we need a native coin, native asset to incentivize all the players to maximize its own profit. And by maximizing its own profit, it is protecting the system from any single one cheating or trying to attack the blockchain. Then we have the third layer. We call it the protocol layer or the smart contract layer. And this third layer, smart contract, we can pretty much program anything on the contract, right? Because we have a smart contract based on humans' imagination. We can program anything, and that's where DeFi comes in on the third layer. We can program that allow customers to lend and to borrow without the need of intermediaries. Everything is run by code. We can
But
program.
for buy and sell, do we do in the first stage, right? For the buy and sell, or it's done on the third stage as well?
To buy and sell digital currency, it is happening on the fourth layer.
Oh, okay.
The
So DeFi
application
come
layer.
first, right? Okay, sorry. Okay.
DeFi is short for decentralized finance. It's the financial services provider of the future, which will no longer be a company. It will be a computer program because money is digital. So no single financial institution would be providing services to customers. Computer program would be providing financial services to customers. We call it DeFi. So we can program anything from remitting money overseas. Innovation comes from everyone around the world. Then the fourth layer, we have the application layer, like BitCup, like Coinbase, where we built mobile phone applications, web-based applications for end customers to humanize the tech, to be able to access the blockchain, the financial services, without knowing a lot about all the technical details. We humanize blockchain, right? The same way that Skype humanizes TCP/IP. A lot of people are using Skype, are using Zoom, without knowing the underlying technology. They only understand that let's use Skype because it's free, it's instant. You can see faces from another person from another corner of the world without costing a single penny. That's the application layer. Skype humanizes, TCP/IP technology. Same with BitCup. We humanize, blockchain. We humanize DeFi to make sure that normal customers can easily access a much better financial service. In the future, people will just be using our app and think of it as a cheaper way to get money across without losing time and a lot of money. For example, one of the biggest banks in Thailand, they allow customers to transfer money from Thailand to the UK within 30 seconds instead of 2 days. and the cost went down from 5% to 0.05%, 100 times cheaper. The underlying technology, we call it the RippleNet blockchain. But a lot of customers don't really need to know that, right? Because the biggest banks humanize this, the RippleNet blockchain. Customers just think of it as a cheaper, better way to get money across without losing a lot of money and time. And that's the application layer. And what is interesting about the future of finance is that innovation would no longer come from the CEO or a single bank because it's an open system. So to answer your question about DeFi, DeFi is short for decentralized finance. It's the way we deliver financial services without the need of an intermediary. And it is becoming feasible because money at its fundamental core is changing its form from being a paper-based to becoming a computer program. And once money is a computer program, we can program all the financial services to deliver to customers without the need of centralized body. And the DeFi is, there are 4 layers into the blockchain. Right? There's state of account layer, the native asset or the native coin, and the protocol layer as or the smart contract layer. And DeFi is happening on the third layer. It is what we call the back end technology. Customers do not need to know this third layer part. What customers are interacting is the fourth layer, which we call it the application layer. There are 4 layers to the blockchain stack. Right? And what is interesting in the future is that the DeFi layer is an open system. The application layer can pick and choose different protocols, different computer program, different code onto its shelf for the customers to access. And innovation would come from anyone around the world. Anyone can code, anyone can fork the open source system to create a better financial services for the world. And all the application layer have a freedom to pick and choose which protocol delivers the best services to customers. And that's when we have an open financial system for the world.
In the end, we understand what DeFi and how it operates. The evolution of DeFi makes us to find out more on the impact and the adaptation of the businesses, and also every one of us as a future users. Next episode, we ask Kun Top on the future trend and what will change in the global financial landscape.